Hey guys, how are we doing today? My name is Justin. I hope all of you are well today. For today's topic, we're going to focus on the strength shortening cycle push press. So, this is a great exercise. For many reasons, to be in fact, works the upper and lower body. We're working that strength shortening cycle component, or the SSC, that can help prepare athletes for the jerk and clean, squat, military press, other exercises. Also allows lifters to prepare for that pre-stretch, counter-movement action. Yeah, you find the jumps as well as other explosive movements. And it could help athletes improve force or produce more force, move quicker, be more efficient in lifts, and overall be generally better athletes. To begin, we have to look at the strength shortening cycle for a little bit. So this is classified as that pre-stretch or counter-movement action. And a common example that we use for the SSC is the jumps. It's that little loading phase right before you say go for a box jump or a plyometric based exercise. It comprises of three components: your eccentric, your amortization, and concentric phase. Your eccentric is that stretch phase. Imagine you're going down on the RDL and you feel that stretch. That is the eccentric phase. In the sense of loading, it is that, stretch feeling in your muscles that you feel when you're in that loading SSC phase. Then we have the amortization phase. So it's that isometric or transition between the eccentric and concentric phase. And then we have the concentric or contraction phase. Good way of looking at the SSC, or the strength shortening cycle component, is you want to look at it as a spring, where the athlete learns how to pull and release that spring efficiently and correctly with which a lot of power and a lot of force and a lot of technique to it. And for the rest of the video, I'll use SSC interchangeably with the strength shortening cycle. So just if it seems confusing, that's the reason why I will keep referring to the strength shortening cycle as the SSC. As well, that SSC, speaking of, is great at improving the eccentric, amortization, and concentric phases of lifts and jumps. We're working on explosive force. We're working on vertical power output. We're, once again, working on eccentric and concentric strength. If you're using it correctly, in the case of this exercise, you can work, the kinetic chain connectivity. There's a lot of aspects that you can use the SSC for. On top of that, if you're a bodybuilder or just a general athlete, it's great for hypertrophy because, as we know, hypertrophy occurs when muscle fibers are subjected to stress and damage, so it triggers a repair and growth response. So the SSC plays a significant role in this process. Now let's begin to examine the push press itself. So this is a great exercise. It is, as previously mentioned, an exercise that you would use to prepare athletes for the clean and jerk, the squat, the military press, other upper body compound movements. Hell, you can use a clean or, split jerks, anything. It is a great exercise that focuses on the strength and flexibility of the front and rear deltoids, your quads, glutes, hip abductors, erector spinae, traps, triceps, and transverse abdominis. You're working essentially all components. You're working your upper, your middle, and your lower trunk. And because of that component of upper body mobility, there is some factors we have to keep in mind technique-wise on top of the SSC phase when we get into that loading phase for the lower body. In order to perform an SSC push press, you want to stand roughly hip width. You don't want to go too wide. You want to go just sort of narrow, but not too narrow. I'm not doing a good job describing it, but stand about hip width or, just underneath your shoulders. And you want to go into less than a quarter squat. I've heard some people say get into 10% of your height. I would consider it going into less than a quarter squat position. I say this because too deep of a dip is going to negate the strength shortening cycle mechanics. Having your knees slightly bent allows the lifter to be ready to launch in an explosive movement. As well, it'll allow, where in that aspect, you'll focus on the SSC and you'll focus on balancing the weight on your heels. And once you're in that dip and extended position, you have to brace your chunk, you have to keep your chest up, and you want to drive the bar up aggressively with your legs into that overhead position. Now we come to the overhead position itself. So when you use your legs to push, and you use your arms to press. Once you're in that overhead position, you want to have the bar straight and vertically up. So I forgot to mention this. Grip that bar just a little past shoulder width. Too close, you're going to put a lot of stress on your deltoids, specifically your front and your middle deltoids. Too far, it's going to be very difficult for you to hold it over your head. And at that point, if you go that far, you should be working on the jerk instead. We're not working on the jerk, we're working on the SSC push press. In that vertical position, you want to have your head bent slightly forward and the bar over the base of your spine. Give it a sec, hold it there, and then slowly bring that weight down. Bring yourself back down into that less than quarter squat position. You want to, when you're in that process of holding it overhead, keep your legs tight, and you want your knees straight in your lower body. In that process of bringing it down, bring it down gently onto your upper chest, your shoulders. You don't want to destroy your shoulders. You don't want to destroy your chest. It's going to hurt. Don't do it. So some common errors that we can look for with this SSC push press. Notice how my elbows are up in the video. To the best, you don't have to keep them super high as if you're about to do a front squat, but keep them up, keep them pointing forward. A lot of people are going to lower their elbows or lower their upper body when they do that push press. On top of that, you don't want to have the bar gripped too wide or too close. Too close is going to put a lot of strain on your anterior deltoids and your middle deltoids. Too far, you're going to be... At that point, just do the jerk. Just do a split jerk. You're not working the push press. You're not working an SSC push press at that point. What's the point of putting it wide? Jokes aside, on top of that, not going into that proper SSC loading phase. Once again, I mentioned this earlier. Too deep of a position of that less than quarter squat position. If you go deeper than that, you're not going to really feel the SSC portion of it as well. You'll see it in the video. Hip drive. Mark Ripito talks about this. You will need that hip drive because you need those hips. You need your glutes, you need your hams, you need your quads, you need your legs to drive that bar up. You need those hips to push the bar. And then from that point on, you'll let your arms press it. And on top of that, too wide of a stance, you're not going to really feel that SSC phase occurring. And yeah, that's all we can really say for common errors, mistakes that we can do. Rep scheme wise, keep it between 2 to 3 sets of 4 to 6 reps. That will help you incorporate some aspects of strength and hypertrophy along with focusing on form. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you have a great day. And this is me just signing off. Yeah.